G'day guys, dtGAriA here. We're going to watch a game between a Zerg and a Terran on Daybreak, one of the coolest maps in the whole of, well, I don't know, pretty much one of the coolest maps. I don't know, it's probably one of the best maps that's been in competitions. It is a map that has provided some fantastic games. I know there have been all sorts of GSL games. Who remembers Pult versus MVP on this map? That was absolutely crazy. But today we're going to have a look, as we said, a Zerg versus Terran. We're going to be watching a player who hopefully some of you guys will know. It is dtGAriA. He's going to be starting up the top right-hand side of the map. Aria of fame for that game against Huck. It obviously was a great game to watch, and we saw how Aria has some really nice Brood War skills from being an ex-practice partner with one of the teams. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Estro? I can't remember exactly, but anyway, he was a practice partner for one of the teams, and of course that is shown through with his ridiculous APM, which we'll probably get to have a look at very in a little bit of a later stage in this game. But also one thing we'll keep an eye out for is Aria's Overlord spread. One thing which I really don't see as much from players in StarCraft 2 at the moment is really good Overlord spread. It's a great tool you can use. Of course there are, there's a lot of you sitting there saying, but Phoenix and Vikings counter them, blah blah blah. There is that, of course. You can deal with that when the problem comes, but until that problem comes, it's always good to have the vision that comes from the overlords. As you can see, this dude just floating around, he's providing vision around these spots over here, all this sort of stuff, and then you can put them in positions where they provide a nice amount of vision without being spotted easily. So there are certain positions on this map, on a lot of maps, that have those various places where overlords can go and camp out. Yoon getting a little bit excited here, but yeah, actually speaking of which, we have our Australian player who's down here in the bottom left in the red. It is YoonYJ, one of the fellow Australian players in the scene. He's been doing really well, and we obviously wanted to see how he goes in this practice session with Aria. Of course, it'll be a great test of skill to see how he can deal with Aria's immaculate macro and micro and just general Zerg play. Looks as if Yoon has picked up just an interesting little macro axe here. It's just outside the natural expansion. Probably not going to do. Looks as if actually he has rallied the racks onto the SCV, so he may try and go for some bunker pressure here. Aria has gotten that fast expand up and actually has the pool just about done. I don't think this is going to be the best idea if Yoon wants to get this going, because this is going to be a little bit late of a timing, and yeah, it looks as if he is going to back off for the moment. So the rack's floating back inside the main base. Perhaps we will see a quick expansion from Yoon himself. No, it looks as if he's going to stick with he's going to go for a Hellion expand, it looks like. Going to pick up that reactor in just a second once that Rax lands. We'll just confirm that in just a second. But Aria getting these overlords around, forcing the SCV out of the main base, and there goes that reactor. Command center going up at the natural expansion as well. So this is a really good map for fast expanding, of course, given how absolutely huge it is. There are so many places to expand. One of the key things about this map, which I think actually, sort of lead to why it provides such good games, is that, and while it's actually a bad thing for one of the races, is that you don't generally expand towards your opponent. Well, you start out in your main. You head down here to the side, you proceed along the vertical wall of the map, and then when you actually get to the mid-game, that's when you look at this sort of base here, which has the rich Vespene Geyser in this edition of the map. So it's a game where you do get a lot of macro, despite the fact that it doesn't look like it doesn't essentially look like a macro map. But we've, as we mentioned, we could see. In fact, wow, actually, Yoon has switched around what he was doing. He does have a Hellion out. There is a second. Is there a second one? No, there isn't a second. But he is going to start a starport as well. Perhaps we're going to see a switch into a sort of a late timing Banshee here. But there is this one Hellion which is attempting to push forward. We can see that the Spine Crawler is there and gets a poke in the eye for attempting to bust into the base. Going to check for the third, can't find that that's there, and looks as if things are generally kind of normal here. You could expect that there would be a third base down here for Aria at this stage, but given that he expanded out and he can see that his opponent has got those Hellions out, it's not the best idea to go for that so quickly until you have a little bit more Hellion defense. Now, Aria's gotten the Evo chamber up, so it looks as if he will switch into a standard sort of mode here. We'll probably see the Roach Warren go down very soon as well, just to get out some defense, or perhaps he'd like to use his defensive measures of the Lings and the Spine Crawlers to defend against the Hellions, but that means, as we said, a little bit later of an expansion. But he is going to get a macro hatch up now. That leads to 3 hatches, and then perhaps he will be able to get some more units out. The Hellions at the front of Aria's base, making sure that this creep tumor cannot put anything down further to get that creep spreading out, which of course helps with the Spine Crawlers. I think what's going to happen here is Aria is going to get this this other Spine Crawler up and then move this one across. But no, it looks as if they are going to get started right about now. Spine Crawler pushing up. The Queen's going to have a few shots as well. Blue Flame is done there for those Hellions as well, so they're going to be doing quite a lot of damage. And in fact, the Medevac is going to be coming out, so it is going to be a Blue Flame Hellion drop here. The Medevac is just on the way. One Marine inside is trying to take care of this Overlord here. The reactor and the factory have switched over their expansions, their little add-ons there, and they are going to switch around. But meanwhile, inside the main base of Aria, these 4 Hellions have gotten inside. The spawning pool is going to block off the path down the back. The Hellions trying to escape now. 3 Queens inside. And Speedlings are also going to come out and deal with that Hellion, and that gets disposed of quite easily. And as we can see, Aria is not too phased about all of that. The lair now starting to morph in here. The macro hatch is being injected quite nicely as well. The Medevac, meanwhile, just flying over these Zerglings, which are attempting to counter-attack here. We do have a nice wall here from Yoon. He's going to bring some of these Marines back home and get the wall back up. The Engineering Bay going to provide the assistance to that block, and that one Hellion that survives inside is going to be able to help with deflecting those Lings. So Yoon doing a good job trying to get some harassment done. You don't want to let the Zerg just expand without any sort of cost, but he wasn't able to get too much damage done, and now it looks as if Aria is free to expand. So taking this third base here is Aria, going to get that up very quickly here now that map control has been restored for him. He's got these Lings around which are able to deal with any sorts of drops, of course, and then he, with his Overlord spread, which has just sort of started out, have a look at this map vision. He's got map vision down the bottom sides of the map. There is a Viking that has come out from Yoon to try and take care of these Overlords, so eventually this map vision will cease. Let's see if Aria did see that Medevac. Perhaps he did, perhaps he didn't. There are 6 Marines inside. The path is now clear. There is a whole just free road to actually get inside the main, and it looks as if the Lings may have actually found that drop was coming, morphing in a few Banelings as well. Looks as if we do have 4 Banelings about to come up. Baneling speed is just about to go through as well. Not getting too much done with that drop is Yoon, unfortunately. Really just not getting inside freely, and the Lings were able to clean that up quite easily. So Aria doing a fantastic job. Let's have a look at the Yoon cam. He's down here. He's just looking at getting that macro started, putting out those racks and just trying to deal with these with the Lings at the Zolnaga watchtowers, trying to make sure he has control over what is being seen on the map. You don't want to let the Zerg have as much vision as they sometimes do. Of course, as we mentioned, Overlord's providing a great way to get a lot of vision on the map, and there we go, just cleaning out that extra watchtower as well. So he's doing a really good job, and it looks as if he is going to take that third base as well. So he's going to head across. He's going to grab this the very cool, rich Vespane Geyser, which means you get a bit more gas out of that one each trip, and there's a few less minerals at this site, so that's the one thing to keep in mind about this one. So using this this little sort of mini push as a bit of a pressure there to make sure that Aria is not building too many units that could come and counter-attack, and meanwhile just getting that expansion up. We're going to have a couple of turrets. The lack of planetary fortress here at this base could perhaps be a bit of a downfall. We'll see what happens, but he is making sure that he's getting some the map control, trying to get the map control back himself, taking out Overlords here, there, and it looks as if the mutas are now out for Aria. We remember from previous games we saw, like in Aria versus Huck, or one of the other games that I put up, Aria has some fantastic muta control, obviously coming from the fact that he played a lot of Brood War, and we'll see how that goes across here. We have got Ramani's in that group. We've got 9 mutas out on the map at the moment, a few more in production. There's a 10th one that's just joined the flock, and here they go. They're trying to get some damage done, picking off a random Marine. They don't have any upgrades just yet, and it's good good to keep in mind that the Marines do have +1 and stim, but unfortunately for Yoon, there are just not enough of those Marines around, and a couple of tanks may get picked off there, but the backup Marines have finally found where they needed to go. They got their ticket correctly, but a counter-attack now from dtGAriA, pushing inside the third base here with some of these Lings. Some Banelings coming through as well, may get picked off, but they do get a couple of kills on those SCVs, and the SCVs are very, very low on health. Another attack with some Lings or something along that line would really help out here, but a drop going through the top side of the main for dtGAriA, and the Marines do survive. They're actually going to take care of this spawning pool quite easily here, forcing the drones off the mineral line as well. It looks as if the mutas have come to save the day. A good transfuse from dtGAriA as well. It looks as if the mutas should be able to finish this off, and they do indeed. Great stuff by dtGAriA, coming back just in the nick of time here. As we can see, the spawning pool is, it looks as if it's losing some water there. Someone's going to have to refill that thing. dtGAriA doing a great job with deflecting that attack and getting his own attack in, which is always good as well. So great stuff from both of these guys here. It looks as if Yoon might want to try and push through the bottom side of the map. One Ling will actually spot that, and there should be some defensive measures coming through here from dtGAriA, bringing the mutas down. The group is now heading just flying down. Where are they? We've got a few of them left in a pack here. Thank you to Mr. Spectator who pointed that out. But he is trying to get down here. He's going to need some defensive very quickly because the tank Marine push is now coming along. We'll probably see these guys just siege up and make sure that the area is clear. The Marines are going to be able to get rid of the few Mutalisks and the few Lings that are at the base. So this base is not going to survive very long. Drones should probably get out of there. They're not going to have a good day at work if they stay around for too much longer. But Yoon is putting some pressure on that fourth base and does take it out. Probably going to retreat for now, as he probably cannot push too much further, given that there's a lot for dtGAriA in the bank at the moment. In terms of units, there's a lot in the bank. But let's have a look at the dtGAriA cam here. Just, there's the dtGAriA cam. That's a bit more like it. Floating around with those Mutalisks, of course, getting the infestation pit down. Ling Bling control is going off the charts here. Let's have a look at his APM while we're at it. 350 APM on the current tab, sitting at 185 for the average. He's going to have to deal with these Marines and tanks that are now trying to push through. Does send the Lings and the Banelings straight in here. Bling's just absolutely blasting through everything. The Ling's trying to take care of some of the remaining Marines as well. And while this is all going on, we're going to grab a drone or two, get that infestation pit built properly. For some reason, that construction didn't get approved, and then going to build another base down there at the bottom side. So there's that very nice APM there from dtGAriA. Just fantastic stuff to see that, and just keeping in mind as well that he does have still a few more units out on the map. We've got Overlords just getting vision on this top side of the map to make sure that those drops are spotted. We've got Overlords over here as well, just preventing this base from getting up for the time being, and also a few still surviving in this section of the map. So he's got good vision here, and he has vision of this impending attack here. One Ling sitting at the watchtower is being cleaned out, so no more vision of that for dtGAriA, and he does have quite a lot of Banelings here, and a lot of Mutalisks now flying through as well, but there are still quite a lot of Marines. It looks as if dtGAriA is just going to go for it anyway, and the Bling's now tearing through all of the Lings. The Lings are going to try and get behind those Marines so they can catch them and let the Banelings roll into the rest of them. Beautiful control here from dtGAriA, is able to clean up a lot of those tanks, and the tanks are basically all gone. Mutas are up in the sky, dominating everything around, and they are bouncing those glaive worms everywhere, taking down turrets, SCVs, Marines. A lonely tank has been picked off. His brother comes to the fight, doesn't get much done. The Lings are now trying to push through into the middle of the base here, and things are getting very messy here for Yoon. He's probably going to lose this orbital command. Mutas are not going to be stopped, or are they? There go the Marines, and they are able to push back just for the moment here. And while that has been going on, I believe we actually had a drop. We'll chuck that in the PIP. But dtGAriA doing a great job. He's getting this fifth base up. He's got his fourth mining quite nicely here, including that the rich gas. And once this fifth gets up, things are going to get very, very good for dtGAriA there. Yoon attempting to expand just across to this standard left side third base. He is going to have a little bit of trouble placing that command center down. There is a little bit of creep spread all over the map, and that is a bit unfortunate for him. That'll delay that by a few more seconds. Marines have decided they need to clean out the rest of the Overlords up at the top side of the map, but the Mutalisks are being very, very threatening inside the main. He should be able to take care of some of these Marines here, not to mention the tech labs. Go for them, son, and then you're going to be in a very nice position here. There are a few ghosts out on the way from Yoon. He's going to try and switch up and get some of those ghosts into the mix, because the Threat of Infestors is now imminent. There are more Banelings morphing in and attack down at the bottom right-hand side of the map. Looks as if that's not going to get too much done. Fungal growth from these Infestors would really help, but he's not able to get across in time. But the Mutalisks now flying across should be able to deal with that medevac quite easily, and indeed they do. Mutalisks on +2 to air weapons, so he's looking very nice with that. An attempted attack through the top side. Not sure what those 3 Marines were doing. Thought they were all Rambo, but there's only one Rambo. And now the Lings and the Banelings are now sitting in the top side of the map. They're going to try and attack in. A couple of tanks have vision on the high ground there, and here we go. Looks as if Aria is going to try and push through here. The Lings and the Banelings trying to chase down those Marines, but good spreads from Yoon, but perhaps not enough. There is still a lot of Banelings and Infestors left on the map. Infested Terrans now able to come across. They do get fungled, and then the Infested Terrans have their way with them. They've got +1 to Carapace, so they survive a little bit longer, which is quite annoying, considering they survived for quite a long time anyway. But the Mutalisks now doing all sorts of damage here, cleaning up the rest of the Marines, the tanks, all sorts of things going down here from Yoon. Unfortunately, I think this game is over for him. He just does not have enough control, but he does have a base up the top. We've got a couple of turrets here at this planetary fortress, which should keep that alive for the time being. But the problem is these mutas, they're now sweeping through the base here, picking off Marines before they can form a decent group to try and counteract those mutas, and tanks just being picked off left, right, and center. And a couple of ghosts are coming into the battle, putting down some scroll bar snipes there, and they will take care of some of these Mutalisks, but there's just not enough to follow up with that attack. And it looks as if there was an attempt to counter-attack by Yoon inside the 4th base of Aria, but it's just not enough. Let's have a look at... Nope, there we go. There's the GG from Yoon. Tapping out of this game, he was just not able to keep up with the production capabilities of Aria, getting up to that 4th base very quickly after defending those initial attacks, and then got the mutas out for some good map control, and was able to keep that map control, keep the pressure on with the mutas, and get his expansions up and just put himself in a beautiful position. So that was a great game there from these players. Unfortunately for Yoon, he was not able to take that one, but good stuff from Aria there with his 207 average APM on the Blizzard counter. Keep that in mind. That's probably like 500 normal APM. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I may grab one more game from Aria if I have time. If not, we'll catch you guys in the next game. Cheers.